Hey, this is Matt once again. What about the end of the video? This is another paid request, this time for Nick. And he wanted me to do a commentary as well as a review, 2 separate videos on Scary Movie. Now, for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, you can feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, Scary Movie, I remember seeing this back in the day, I think when it first came out on DVD, and did not see it in the theater, but I was interested in it because I liked, at the time at least, parody movies. What do I mean by at the time? Because since then, parody films have gone completely downhill. By this point, though, I looked at parody films before it. I love National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. Emilio Estevez, Samuel Jackson. You had cameos with, it seems like everybody. Whoopi Goldberg, William Shatner's your villain. You had Bruce Willis had a cameo. Scotty from Star Trek had a cameo. Technically, even the Ninja Turtles had a cameo in that movie. Like, I love Loaded Weapon 1. It's a fun parody on Lethal Weapon films, buddy cop films. I also love Hot Shots Part 2. There's a parody on one-man army movies, especially Rambo 3, which I love Rambo 3. I do like the first Hot Shots, but Hot Shots Part 2, being a parody of Rambo, was really up my alley, so to speak. So those are my 2 favorite parodies. Loaded Weapon 1, Hot Shots Part 2. I love Airplane and Airplane 2, the sequel. Top Secret is another fun one with Val Kilmer. Now, there was a slasher parody back in the 80s called Student Bodies, which I did enjoy. The ending, the final act, it fell apart a bit, but I still think there's quite a bit of funny stuff in Student Bodies. I still remember the joke about how, and if you've seen Student Bodies, the joke of how they get the R rating, and then you rated R. Like, I'll keep it vague for those who haven't seen it, but that's probably my favorite joke of that film. With the ratings board talking to the camera and stuff. There were other, not really parodies, but there were other comedies like Wacko, which I still haven't seen. National Lampoon's Class Reunion, with I remember being pretty bad. There's one called Pandemonium. There's a few others. I think around this time there was Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. Something, I forget what it's called. It's with Tom Arnold in it. It was another Scream like parody. But after this, like Scary Movie 2, I do enjoy. Scary Movie 3, a lot of people like that. I was not a fan. I was very disappointed. Scary Movie 4, I thought was worse. And Scary Movie 5, I thought was an abomination. The one thing I remember was that a bunch of pool cleaning equipment had an orgy. Yeah, pool cleaning equipment having an orgy. That's what I remember in Scary Movie 5. But then also the Seltzer Bird or Seltzer Bottle, whatever the hell their names were, Aaron Seltzer and Piehole, Jason Freebird, Jason Freebird, Aaron Seltzer. Yeah, Seltzer bottles in the face. Those are the 2 that would go on to do epic movie, date movie, superhero movie, Meet the Spartans, the worst of the worst when it comes to parodies. They killed the parody genre. They did. Single-handedly, they killed the parody genre. So now, there are people nowadays, when they think parody, they do those awful, terrible movies. Oh, it's like epic movie, date movie, superhero movie. But no. Like, this is actually, there's fun to be had in this. Scary Movie 2 I actually liked it a bit more. There's fun to be had in Airplane and Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2 and Loaded Weapon 1 and Top Secret and so forth. Those are actual fun movies. Student Bodies. It's a fun movie. Now, what's funny is those 2 writers are part of the writing, which there's like 6 of them. But here's, from what I understand, what happened was, Scream came out in '96. No one thought it'd be a hit. It was surprise hit. Then you had, Scream 2. I keep trying to remember if Scream 3 came out in '99 or 2000. It might be 2000 the more I think about it. I think during the commentary I was getting mixed up. I kept thinking it was '99, but the more I think about it, I think it was 2000. Because it came out by the time this DVD came out, because a trailer for on this is the Scream DVD trilogy set when there were only 3 movies. And yeah, it's funny how it says no sequel, but there were 4 sequels. In fact, there's a point there was more stereo movies than stream films. Like, it got to 5 movies quicker than what stream did. So that's ironic in a way. Stereo movie became a joke unto itself. And of course, the original title of Stream was Stereo Movie. It was going to be called Stereo Movie. Someone changed the Stream. I think Stream was a better title for that. It's simple, it fits, it rolls off the tongue. Stereo Movie works for a parody, though. But Friedberg and Seltzer, I guess they had written a script for a parody of Scream. They suck as writers, and they do suck based on all those films afterward that I mentioned twice. I'm sure I'll do it a 3rd time. Epic movie, date movie, all that, superhero movie, Meet the Spartans. They said this ain't going to work, this script. But with some kind of deal they had, the Wayans brothers and 2 of their buddies came in. They rewrote the entire script. They actually wrote the film. But these 2 guys had to get credited. So if you're wondering, wait a minute, Friedberg and Seltzer are credited as writers, but they suck. Exactly, because they really truly had nothing to do with this. Maybe they had the initial, like they wrote it, but then everything they wrote got rewritten because it sucked. But again, some kind of contractual obligation. The technicality, I don't know 100%. Their names still got put onto this. And that's happened many times, where a script will be completely rewritten from page 1 to page end, and yet you still get credit. Like, even if you think of Beverly Hills Cop, like, the writer credited, a lot of the stuff got rewritten and ad-libbed with Eddie Murphy and the cast and the director. So, there's a lot of different stuff in that, but the writer still has credit on the movie. So then you get to the director, Keenen Ivory Wayans. Now, he had done stuff in the past. He had starred in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, which is a fun parody on blaxploitation films. He directed and had Shawn and Marlon Wayans star in Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in a hood. That was a fun comedy. That was a parody of Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, all those type of movies at that time. And Don't Be a Menace was with Dimension Miramax. So that did decent, on home video and such. So they were able to get to be a part of this. Now, Keenen Ivory Wayans, he had started the show In Living Color way back when. There's a time where he tried to be an action star, and I thought he was rather good. He directed and starred and wrote A Low Down Dirty Shame, which I rather enjoy. I think it's very underrated. Deserves a Blu-ray. He starred in Most Wanted. He was with Steven Seagal in The Glimmer Man. Both films I do like, but none of them perform well. Low Down Dirty Shame was a flop. All those films were bombs. So he went back to more into comedy. And this was very successful. This was humongously successful. It was what led to Stereo Movie 2, and then the sequels they weren't part of, which I'll get to, and then led to The White Chicks, which was also successful, then Little Man, which was not successful. Marlon and Shawn Wayans, of course, had worked with their brother Keenen on other shows, on other movies, like Don't Be a Menace. Shawn Wayans, he doesn't really do anything outside of the family business, so to speak, meaning I can't think of a movie he was in, starring or otherwise, where Marlon and Keenen were not involved. Maybe that's personal choice. Because, like, Marlon, on the other hand, around this time, he was in Requiem for a Dream, which was a good movie. It was, I see Marlon Wayans stretch his acting talent. I wish Marlon had gone more into that direction. And then he's done his own parodies, like A Haunted House and A Haunted House 2, trying to be a parody of found footage and stuff. They weren't that good. Cedric the Entertainer, he was funny, but the rest of the movie wasn't. Let's see, Marlon Wayans, I like Marlon, but I think at times he thinks he's funnier than he really is, and a lot of his movies reflect that. I forgot what that movie was I reviewed. That was like a road trip. I already forgot. But Marlon Wayans, I'm like, dude, you got a lot of talent, but either you need your brothers to help you write it, or you need someone else to write it for you. But he was starring in other films. He was in Senseless with David Spade. That trailer's on this DVD as well. That I wasn't really big on. Maybe Time Waster at best. Like, it's there. I didn't hate the film, but I didn't love it either. But I do think Marlon is talented. But yeah, Marlon, Shawn are in this. Anna Faris, which I can't remember other stuff she's done, because whenever I think of her in this role as Cindy. Because she has such a wild-eyed, innocent, oblivious quality to her. I think it works rather well in these movies. Even the lesser scary movies, like 3 and 4, she's not the problem. It's just the script and everything else around her is the problem. But again, that wide-eyed innocence does have a nice charm, lovable quality to her. I think she fits very well. Other people, like, I do think it has a good cast. Shannon Elizabeth, if I learn how to say it right, Shannon Elizabeth, who's in American Pie. She'd be in 13 Ghosts, the remake, among other films. She does fine as sort of the... Because it's Scream, but also parodies I Know What You Did Last Summer. So she's kind of the Sarah Michelle Gellar from I Know What You Did movie, playing that type of character. Lachlan Monroe is kind of Ron Philippe from I Know What You Did character. And Lachlan Monroe I've enjoyed. He was in this film called Dead Man on Campus. He worked with the Wayans again. I think Little Man and White Chicks, he was in those. Kind of surprised he didn't pop up in Scary Movie 2. Because they brought a lot of other people back. Even though they got killed off in the first one. But, I'm trying to think. Oh, he was in Freddy vs. Jason. The police officer that Jason grabs and electrocutes and shocks. He was in that. He was in... That's who he was in that movie. But I like Lachlan Monroe. He has a definite jock energy, quality to him, which was fun to watch. Like I said, I do think the cast works well. And it's a very short film. I mean, it's like an hour and 28 minutes, but the last 8 or 9 minutes are credits. So like 80 minutes, boom, you're in, you're out, that's it. And the plot of the film pretty much follows Scream, with a mix of I Know What You Did Last Summer and a tad of Scream 2, a little bit. Because it came out in 2000, there's a few references, some 1999 movies. There's a brief reference to Blair Witch, which I thought was one of the lamer jokes. Because it's just Cheri Oteri from Saturday Night Live. She plays the Dale Weathers, Courtney Cox role. It's just her up close to the camera. There's a bunch of snot running down her nose. This seems like something from the Bogus Witch Project. If you don't know what that is, that was a parody that had a bunch of short movies parodying the Blair Witch Project. I just felt with Blair Witch, especially when, you know, that right there is on front, I thought there'd be a lot more playing up the Blair Witch Project. And also, I think there's a lot more clever jokes. That was like one of the lazier jokes. There's a brief bit with The Sixth Sense where Marlon Wayans says a line and they're saying because they're high. There, of course, you gotta reference The Matrix. So Anna Faris does the Carrie-Anne Moss move. But yeah, I mean, watch it again. The cast works well. Even supporting roles. You have like Rick Dukeman, who I remember as Art, Tom Hanks' neighbor and kind of buddy in The Burbs. Sadly, he's passed away. He plays Cindy's father. It was fun to see him in there. Kurt Fuller, who was the bad guy, No Holds Barred. He was the guy that kept saying jockass, the Hulk Hogan in that. He plays the sheriff. He was also in Wayne's World and others. James Vanderbeek has a very quick cameo. Jim Abrams, if I learn how to say the name right, he plays the boyfriend of Cindy. And it follows Scream fairly well in its formula. And like I said, I thought it still had some chuckle-worthy moments to it. You know, in the very beginning, Carmen Electra from Baywatch, she's the first victim. Her character's name is Drew, for Drew Barrymore in Scream. You know, it starts with a fart joke, okay. But But then, it comes up with a funny one where, what's your favorite horror movie? Oh, Kazam? You ever seen that one with Shaq? Any movie that mentions Kazam and makes fun of it ain't too bad. Kazam is pretty horrible. And because it's with Miramax and Dimension, it's nice they're able to use the Ghostface costume and look, and they didn't have to alter it too much, because it's the same studio. And I guess by this time, like Urban Legend, Valentine, they either had not come out yet, or they were so new that they really weren't prevalent in the story, because there's not a lot of those stuff referenced in it. Valentine, I think, came out after Urban Legends. I thought it was 98. Yeah, I'm bad with years. I apologize. But, some of the jokes that worked, like Lachlan Monroe, what he's threatening Cindy to not talk, and he's going, him and Anna Faris going so over the top. Like, you're not to talk to the cops, right? But he's choking her and like punching her. But it's done so over-exaggerated, so over the top, it comes off as rather funny. When Cindy's running up the stairs and throwing stuff, and all of a sudden, hey, Grandma, and then throws her down. Like, that was, I thought, pretty funny. Marlon Wayans is Shorty. Some of their reactions. There's probably some stuff here that may be dated to people, and they don't know what the hell it is. And like I said, not all the jokes work. Like early on, I have your boyfriend outside. It's a guy that looks like Prince. And to be honest, there may be new people, young people watch this that don't know who Prince is. Or who that's supposed to be. But it's Prince, or the artist formerly known as Prince, whatever at the time. I thought that was kind of a joke. Like I said, not every joke works. But then you'd have a joke like, remember the scene with Jennifer Love Hewitt? What are you waiting for? Well, Cindy, Anna Faris is doing that, and it's been established that there's a guy ready to jump because he's tired of the students. So while she's saying that, she doesn't realize it, the guy hears it, and he jumps to his death, and oh, shit. I thought that was a funny moment. But I was talking about, some stuff people might not understand. Like, there's a bit with Marlon on the phone with the killer. What are you doing? Chilling. Killing. Cool. And they do the same what's up. And then maybe people going, what the fuck is what's up? Well, that was a famous commercial at the time. What's up? What's up? If you type on YouTube, what's up, WASSUP commercial, you'll find it. But that was a big commercial at the time. Nowadays, people might not know what the hell that is, but that was a very popular commercial. So in a way, that may be one of the things that dates the film, but because I lived in that time, I mean, I was, 17 when this came out? So I do remember that. It's like, oh god, I remember that commercial. And I did chuckle at that. And, with humor, it's hard. I'll gladly talk about it, but at the same time, it's always going to be what's your preference when it comes to comedy. Like, I think Scary Movie 2, despite it felt like they had more like bodily fluid humor, it still, I still remember things making me laugh more, like James Woods, his cameo at the beginning with the Exorcist parody, that made me laugh quite a bit. David Cross and his character, he made me laugh quite a bit. Chris Elliott at times. Even bits of it with Tim Curry. Yeah, that one I had a much more chuckle-worthy time with. But this one, I mean, for what it needed to do, it worked well. Like, it's probably a film that, I don't know, would be made nowadays. It'd be considered too on PC. Like the bit with Regina Hall, she's talking so much, so it's not the killer, but just the audience starts killing her. I thought that was funny. But nowadays, that may be misconstrued as, oh, it's a racist thing, because it's mostly white people stabbing a black woman. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's the age of today. There'd be people that would complain about that. I thought it was funny because it was about people talking too much in the theater. This is for talking during Big Mama's house. This is for talking during boogie nights. I thought that was funny. There's a bit who's as she says, she's a day player who is overweight and she can't get through the doggy door. As it goes up, her weight makes the whole thing crash down more and more so, and the killer freaks out and leaves. I thought that was funny. Again, nowadays if you did that joke, people would probably cancel it because it's fat shaming. It's like, well, everyone gets made fun of. Everybody. Everybody gets made fun of. It's all in good fun. And it's all for a laugh. Relax. Take a chill pill. So, like, that stuff I thought was funny. You know, it's shot well enough to the point, like, the cinematography, the lighting, looks like it would fit in a stream film. Like I said, the IT mentioned the cast worked well together. Like I said, not every joke works. Like, that overweight lady, the day player, when she comes in, she hears a noise, she turns, it's a horse. Thought that was really random. There's a character named Doofy, which is a take on Dewey, David Arquette. Would you have a feeling later on, David Arquette, when people thought of him, they kept thinking of Doofy from this movie? So I wonder if that kind of helped, in a weird way, helped hurt David Arquette's career later on. Because again, people kept thinking of that character. Trying to think. Oh, like the bit with the running gag that he likes to use a vacuum cleaner to masturbate. So now, listen, there are jokes that don't work. That goes with every comedy. But it didn't feel too obnoxious. That's why a lot of these parodies later on by the Friedberg Seltzer guys, when they were doing their own movies, like, you just see that Wayans had a talent for it compared to those guys. There's a reason why they rewrote these two idiot strips. Did you see them without getting rewrites and you get superhero movie? It's just, this is funny because Iron Man came out and said hi. And that was all random, and it's Iron Man, so that's funny. This is funny because this is a guy pretending he's Vin Diesel. That's funny because it's Superman. That's funny because it's a blah blah blah. Reference. So automatically that's funny. It was just so obnoxious and annoying and just irritating. Didn't feel that with Scary Movie. Now, like I said, Scary Movie was a hit. Scary Movie 2 was a hit. Scary Movie 3, Marlon Wayans talks about it on YouTube. You can find an interview. But from what I understand, the Wayans brothers were not 100% happy with Scary Movie 2, which is a shame because, again, I rather enjoyed it. I liked it more than the original. But they were still up for Scary Movie 3. And they had written like a treatment or a script. I can't remember which one. But the Weinsteins and the company, they didn't want to pay the Wayans the money they wanted. Because they figured, well, hey, these films are pretty cheap. And they make a lot of money. So can we get like a little bump in pay? And the Weinsteins was like, nope. So we own the property. We own the stuff you have. So the little bits, maybe a little treatment you had, we'll take it, but we'll rewrite it and do our own movie. And thanks for your help. Good luck in your future endeavors. They got future endeavored. And I would like to have seen what the Wayans brothers would have done with Scary Movie 3. I think it would have been better. So instead you get other people, and then they had like Charlie Sheen and Leslie Nielsen, and to me it just wasn't as funny. It felt more tame. It just I don't know, it just wasn't nearly as funny as the previous movies. Then Scary Movie 4 was worse, and then Scary Movie 5 was the worst of the franchise. So, and the Weinsteins had a habit with that, with Dimension films. I mean, some of the later, Hellraiser films, like Hellraiser 4, Bloodline, even Guillermo del Toro had problems working on Mimic. Like, Dimension films and the Weinsteins put their fingers in a lot of projects that, maybe I shouldn't say put their fingers in. I guess I was going to say put their noses in, but maybe I shouldn't say that either. I'm not going to, you all know what the Weinsteins, Harvey, you all know. Harvey and Bob, but they meddled a lot. And again, them and the company is the reason why we never got a Wayans Brothers doing Scary Movie 3. Now, did it need to be a long franchise? No, but again, I like the first two. And at the time, being a big fan of Scream, and at that time, I can't remember the last, like, theatrical parody film that had come out. I mean, I did Don't Be a Menace. There was that. But I just like this one I had liked more, although I do like Don't Be a Menace because I knew more about Scream. I saw a lot of those films that Don't Be a Menace referenced later on in life, but at that time, I was much more into horror films, much more into these type of slasher films, so the fact of doing a parody of that was just much more my cup of tea. And I still think there's some funny stuff in it. Again, like going through the characters, at least they do have a bit of character, like the Shawn Wayans character. It's a character that he's gay, but he doesn't think he's gay. He's like, oh, I'm not gay, even though he's doing these things that seem like he's gay. I did nowadays, that might be considered offensive, but at the time, I thought the way Shawn Wayans played it worked well as the character of Ray. I said Marlon Wayans, he's definitely more of the goofy brother. A lot of times when he's cast, he's much more the goofier personality, and in this, he's the stoner, with a little bit of the Jamie Kennedy from Scream. I don't think, I know in the trailer they have this, but I don't remember if this was in the movie where Marlon Wayans is telling the rules of a scary movie. Because I know it's in the trailer, but I don't know if that was in the final product. It's not because of the movie I can't remember, it's just my own brain malfunctioning on that. But again, would this be my top 5 parodies? No. Again, Loaded Weapon 1 and Hot Shots Part 2, Airplane 2, like I said, Top Secret. Because, like, I'm not big on bodily fluid jokes. Those are my, like, fart jokes. There's the joke with the coach where it's obviously a man. You see their pair of balls. Some people would get kicked out of that. To me, I'm like, okay, whatever. That's not my cup of tea. I guess I'm much more either into very clever, fun humor or sight gags. Like, I think of Top Secret Val Kilmer, where all of a sudden they're fighting in a wrestling ring, and the one guy comes, Viva la France, and does a drop kick. Like, that makes me laugh. Like, I'm trying to think. Or Loaded Weapon 1, where what's your name? Aren't your parents supposed to give you that? When they're talking with Jon Lovitz. Give me a name. Aren't your parents supposed to do that when you were born? Like, that stuff makes me laugh a bit more. But like I said, there are moments of that in this, and overall, it's still probably not as funny as I felt back in 2000, but still a fun time waster endeavor that goes by quick, with a cast as capable, especially Anna Faris and the Wayans. And it does have a couple features, but I'm surprised there was no commentary track on this, among other stuff. And I would say I like this more than White Chicks or Little Man later on. And I think Little Man was the last one Keenen Ivory Wayans directed. I read up somewhere that one of the ideas, which I think would have been genius, I wish they did it, was that Damon Wayans would be the killer, because he got tired of being not invited to the other Wayans endeavors and movies. That would have been hilarious. If the reveal that it was Damon Wayans, that would have been fucking ingenious and hilarious, but I think there was a scheduling problem. Because it's true, Damon Wayans didn't really pop up in, Don't Be a Menace, or this, or the sequel, or other stuff. I didn't... Like, Damon when Marlon... I think they were together... Was it Mo Money? I think, and... I think they worked together in, was it I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, I believe? There was a lot with Damon and Shawn Wayans, or Damon and Keenen Ivory Wayans. Maybe in Living Color. But, yeah, no a lot of that. I mean, maybe just to differentiate or try to be on its own path for Damon. But, yeah, with that said, I still had some fun with it. So with that, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.